Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Top Edge Podcast. This is my first podcast. My name is Vaibhav, and here we'll explore all the nooks and crannies of cricket, what's happening in various cricket boards around the world, and discuss with some of my close friends, some professional cricketers that will come in later episodes, some people who've even won World Cups who'll be on the podcast, and we'll all delve and dive deep into what's actually happening in the world of cricket at the moment. So today, I'm joined by a very good friend of mine, Rafay Ahmed.
Hi.
And the goal and the story of today's podcast will be exploring the relationship of cricket between India and Pakistan, two neighboring countries. And yeah, I think it's going to be a very, very fun podcast. So watch out till the end. We'll answer some of the questions. We'll discuss some of the topics that are hot and trending right now. Babar versus Kohli, Pakistan beating India for the first time in a World Cup in an ICC event, which I'm sure you're very happy about. So yeah, I'll introduce myself first. I'm Vaibhav. I'm a third year biomedical sciences student at King's College London. I've represented Durham County Cricket in the past. I've also played a match for MCC. Currently I'm the captain of University of London Cricket and the captain of King's College London, where Rafi also studies. So if you'd like to introduce yourself.
I'm also, as you know, from King's College London, and I play with Vaibhav in the University of London team and also in the King's College cricket team. And I'm studying computer science at King's College London. And my cricket background is mostly from Pakistan and in Lahore. I've played my under 16 regional cricket in Lahore, and also I've been playing in and out in the Central Punjab team for the under 19, and I've played most my cricket in one cricket club, which was USLIM in Gaddafi Stadium, and I've grown up seeing players like Babar and Usman Qadir playing with me, so it'll be a fun debate to start with, and we can both share our insights about everything, with you being more or less qualified to talk about the Indian cricket team and the Indian board, and me also being very well equipped with the knowledge about what's going on in the PCB and what's going on with our team composition as well.
Great. So I'd like to make it clear to you all guys that this guy is a seriously good cricketer. Got into UL with only one trial session. So there's usually two trial sessions that we have over the course of 2 weekends. This guy made it in one. So it's like an honor for me to have him here. And he's, apart from being a great cricketer, he's also genuinely a great friend and a great person. So, Rafi, you talk to me about the state of Pakistan cricket right now. So in test matches, you're ranked 6th in the world, mid-table, low mid-table. In one days, you're also ranked 6th. T20s, you're 3rd, and had incredible success in this World Cup. Nobody expected that from Pakistan. Why do you think that happened? What do you think is it? Why do you think there's a discrepancy between the short format of the game and the test format?
First of all, I'd like to put a light on the fact that there's two T20 World Cups every year. We don't play two ODI World Cups every year. And it's not just Pakistan we're talking about over here. It's the ICC that have made these rules, that have promoted T20 cricket more than any cricket in the world. And obviously it was because of the leagues that have been brought up. Like this World Cup, this T20 World Cup, T20 cricket came into action because of the Vitality Blast that started in 2007. We have the same problem, I think, in Pakistan cricket, in under 19 and in under 16. They teach you the basics. They make you play 3-day cricket and test cricket more than any cricket.
So in Pakistan,
yeah.
Okay, fine.
In Pakistan. But when you come up the ranks, there is no value of test cricketers at all.
So when you're younger, you're playing a longer format.
Yeah.
And then when you grow up, you play a shorter format.
Yeah, because you have to do that to succeed.
Right.
I've seen players like Haider Ali and young Herrera. You'll see him in a few years' time. He was my captain in under 19 Central Punjab as well. he broke Javed Miandad's record recently for
Okay.
a triple century in the first class tournament.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's 19 years of age. He played with Heather in the Under-19 World Cup. Heather obviously getting more success.
Yeah.
Players like these were so well equipped with shots that were technically perfect, and they could play any format of the game in any capacity, and they could perform. But when they come up the ranks, they have to change their game.
Yeah.
And that is it's just unfortunate what's happening, and many players around the world have talent to play Test cricket and ODI cricket more than T20 cricket, but they get into this side that
Yeah.
they don't get out of.
See, it's funny you say that because my experience in England, playing cricket in England. So I've predominantly played most of my cricket in England, save for one gap year where I went to India and I played a lot of cricket in Delhi. But what I've noticed in England is, up north specifically, is at a younger age, the focus is just T20 cricket. As you grow a bit older, you start playing 40 overs, 50 overs, and then two-day, 3-day games are very out of reach for club cricketers. As club cricketers, we don't play two-day games, 3-day games at all. It's only when you start playing county and a higher age level of county where you start going on tours and start playing the longer format. So an average club cricketer in the UK doesn't actually play a longer format of the game. Anything over 60 overs, they don't usually play. So
it's just in the reverse, and it's completely opposite what's happening in
it's
England.
completely opposite.
Yeah.
And I'm sure India follows a similar trend to what Pakistan do as well, because I know some personal friends who've played a lot of Ranji Trophy cricket,
Yeah.
and they've played longer formats, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, since like 13, 14 years of age.
I think they've adapted to this trend over here because they were the start to this thing.
Yeah.
England was the start to this T20 cricket.
Yeah.
And they know what to do now, and I think it's the right way to go about things. I mean, I have an other view of this, that you shouldn't allow anyone to play T20 cricket unless he's an international cricketer, unless he plays Test cricket first, like India did with some players. They brought players into the T20 format before bringing any player into a T20 format, and that helped those players to realize what cricket is all about.
But that's the trend in general these days, right? Like players tend to debut a lot easier in limited overs as opposed to Test cricket, because Test cricket is categorically the hardest format of the game.
Yeah.
That's a fact. The resilience, the time, it does take a lot of mental strength out of a person as well. T20 is neglected. I think that's a personal belief of mine. I feel as though it's very easy. You have a lad who's coming up the ranks in the Vitality or county cricket or IPL or PCL, and then you're like, let's throw him into T20 cricket. It's because of how much franchise cricket we have around the world that you see talent and then you put them straight into the T20 setup.
Absolutely.
It's very tough to see a guy who's performing well in Ranji cricket who then makes it into the Indian Test team. That's rare. That's tough to see.
Yeah.
What we usually see is a guy performing in the IPL, in T20s, make it to the Test team, which I find quite bizarre personally. That makes no sense, but it happens.
The logic behind that is that all these leagues and all these players that come from leagues, you see them play T20 cricket.
Yeah.
Like Haris Rauf and Natarajan that came, and Mohammad Siraj as well.
And then Natarajan played Test cricket in Australia.
Yeah, in Australia.
Yeah.
But that was because players got injured as well,
Yeah.
that was an unfortunate situation which they made.
Which we won, which was great.
And the thing is that when these players come from T20 cricket and play T20 cricket for their country, they start developing these skills from camps and playing with the Indian team. So they
dressing room experience. Yeah.
And they convert that talent into playing ODI cricket and in Test cricket, and it's just unfortunate that players play, I think, 3-4 years putting in their heart and souls in Test cricket, in tournaments like Qaid Azam Trophy in Pakistan and Ranji Trophy in India.
County cricket here.
Yeah. And they get nothing for it. It's
Yeah.
just sad.
We have an example of that. We have this guy called Wasim Jaffer in India. I'm sure a lot of you watching know Wasim Jaffer. One of the best longer format cricketers India has produced. His numbers speak for himself. I think he has over 16,000 runs in Ranji Trophy, which is incredible. Average of over 50. I think his numbers are better than Tendulkar's in Ranji Trophy. And I don't think he played more than a handful of matches for India. I might be wrong, but I don't think he played too many test matches. That's because you've established that core team. I get it's a lot tougher to break into a team which already has the likes of Tendulkar, Ganguly, Rahul Dravid, Lakshman, Sehwag. We get it's tough to break into a team like that. But I think now what's happening is a good test cricketer, especially in Asia, a good test cricketer, a good longer format cricketer isn't getting the attention and isn't getting the rewards for his game as opposed to a mediocre limited overs cricketer playing in the leagues around the world who end up being in the international team very quickly. Like Krunal Pandya, for example, he's played limited over cricket. I don't rate Krunal Pandya as a cricketer, as opposed to a lot of the cricketers that
like Vishay Iyer as well.
Yeah.
And I'll give you another example. This is on the contrary to the T20 cricket. Fawad Alam in Pakistan.
Yeah.
He scored, I think, a double century every 3 matches in the Babar Azam trophy, and he scored more runs than anyone in domestic cricket.
Yeah.
Period. In international cricket. No other international cricketer has more runs than him in domestic. He didn't get picked for his side for 11 years.
Yeah.
Scoring those runs, and then came in, and then he's the backbone of the middle order right now.
He's doing very well. Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate that players like these get, really ignored and they don't get into the circuit because.
Why do you think that is?
Because it's not entertaining.
Right.
It's as simple as that. It doesn't attract you.
It doesn't make money.
It doesn't make money.
Yeah.
It doesn't attract you.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you any current.
Yeah.
A bowler bowling 140 and bowling 3 Yorkers will get into the team faster than a batsman who scored 300 runs of 600 balls because no one's watching that. Who watches that nowadays?
Yeah.
I mean, we watch that because we have the love for the game, and the people who are sensible and who love the game, who play the game, who are involved in the circuit, watch things like these. Like a player getting a triple hundred of I don't know how many balls, but you watch that. You love to watch that. But it's as simple as this. You can watch a 30 minutes video or you will watch a 30-second video. I mean, who wouldn't watch the 30-second video? With having the current, with having the T20 format gelled into it, and who would watch that triple century? No one would nowadays.
And it's televised as well, right? All the franchises are televised.
Yeah.
All the big leagues are televised around the world. Domestic cricket isn't televised.
Nope.
Like even here, like just county 4-day matches are televised, but not at the rate that the 100 is, not at the rate that the Vitality Blast is, or NatWest T20 Blast, whatever it's called now. So even in India, the IPL is televised. Even the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, which is our T20 trophy, that's somewhat televised. But as the Ranji season comes on, there's a pick and choose. Delhi's playing Mumbai, okay, we'll televise that. Maharashtra's playing, say, Pondicherry or something, that won't get televised.
Yeah.
But there's a guy who's doing well in them teams, getting no attention from that. So, okay, that brings me on to the next part. Where do you think Pakistan cricket is heading at the moment? So there's a transition clearly. You've done incredibly well in the World Cup. Your limited oversight is doing well. You've got the likes of Rizwan, Babar, Shaheen. Where do you think your team's heading in the next 5 years?
This is a really complicated topic because we've been really struggling for the past 6 or 7 years, and the reason behind that, I think, was the board. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
And there were players coming up. This is the same talent that's been going in Pakistan
for the last decade.
Yeah. And there is still much more out there. I mean, I think this is my belief that this Pakistan cricket team isn't even a quarter of what we could make it, because there is so much talent on the streets of Pakistan that you can't even imagine. I've, with my own eyes, seen players getting players like Imamullah out that have no background whatsoever in cricket, that have not played any domestic cricket, that have not done anything, and they literally, I feel that some players just get lucky. Players like Harish Rauf, one season wonder, and I love him. I absolutely love him, but I think there's much more better out there.
Do you think Harish Rauf is what, done or?
No, he's not done.
So
Obviously.
then what do you mean by one season wonder?
I meant by one season wonder is that they picked him.
Based on just one season worth
Yeah,
of performances?
absolutely.
Right.
And if you see the previous 5 seasons of Qaid Azam Trophy, which is the domestic trophy in Pakistan, you can see many
more
bowlers
who are doing that for 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And doing that in Test cricket where it's the hardest, and they're picking up 5 wickets in every innings, which is just mind blowing.
Who have genuine skill and control, and not just pace.
Absolutely. And I'll come back to where Pakistan cricket is heading. So it's not. I'll not go way back. I'll just talk about the last 4 or 5 months. The board was completely changed.
So Ramesh Raja came in, right?
Ramesh Raja came in, and after that, the coaches were completely changed as well. Saklan Mushtaq with almost.
Then tell me about that. The coach is stepping down just before a World Cup.
That was really complicated as well. So if you know that our team wasn't this that went into the World Cup, our team was completely changed right before the World Cup, and the coaches claimed that they stepped down because the team that was provided to them wasn't right, and they didn't want to coach that team. And Ramesh Raja had just came in at that point. And so what I think happened is that the coaches felt pressure from the board. Ramesh didn't want them around anymore. And
big names of Pakistan cricket as well at the time, the coaches. Huge names of Pakistan cricket.
I never liked Waqar Younis as a coach.
Okay.
And I will never like him because I've seen him coach for many years now, and nothing good has ever come out of it.
Misbah?
Misbah is I'll tell you something. His son was my junior in Edson, and he played cricket with me as well.
Edson?
Edson is my school back home, and it's one of the best schools in Asia, and it's really well known for its cricket. Because of our Australian principal over there.
Okay.
And it's really improved its cricket over the years, and it's very well known because of it. So I used to interact with his child as well. So I don't want to get personal, I'm not getting personal, but there's this defensive approach about everything. And that was the reason for his downfall. And everyone in Pakistan knows him as Tuk Tuk, which means that he plays really defensively and he's really slow, Misbah. And I don't think that is quite accurate.
I personally believe he's one of the best batsmen that you've produced.
Absolutely. There was this turning point in his career, which was against India again, where he scooped it to Srishant at fine leg.
2007 World Cup final. Yeah.
And after that, he went in this nutshell where he didn't score runs. When he came in, he was the most attacking batsman in Pakistan cricket at that time.
Right.
Even more than Afridi at that time.
Right.
He was coming in, scoring boundaries like Afridi and every other batsman that we produced at that number.
Yeah.
And after that, Yusuf went. After that, I think Yusuf went, and then Hafiz went for a time, and then Shoaib Malik went for the time, and we had this, space in our middle order that wasn't being fulfilled. So
Yunus Khan and Misbah occupied the middle order space for a long time.
So Yunus Khan retired from ODIs after that, and from T20 as well. So Misbah had to step up. So he changed his game completely after that World Cup, what I saw. And in the 2011 World Cup, we all saw what happened. He tried to take the game long again and he didn't succeed. That was a really good innings, and I admire that guy for his captaincy. He was
Mind-blowing captain, I think.
He was one of the best captains, test captains. I wouldn't rate his ODI and T20 captaincy that much, but he was one of the best test captains Pakistan has ever produced.
I'd second that.
Yeah, and so what I was getting on about is that Misbah had this really defensive approach that no one in the board and no one in the media liked,
Right.
and he was getting targeted because of it. So
Much like Pujara at times. as
yeah,
well,
yeah. But you can't blame Pujara.
That's his format. That's the way he plays.
Absolutely.
He doesn't play limited over cricket.
Yeah. You have to recognize the talent for everyone, and you have to adjust him according to that.
Yeah.
So Misbah and Waqar were sure that they were going to get dismissed after the World Cup. So they decided to step down before. And Sakleen Mushtaq came in, Vernon Philander came in, and I think Matthew Hayden came in. And
which at the out when it happened to the world of cricket, that seemed like quite a bizarre appointment. First of all, because you have like a lot of cricketers in Pakistan cricket team first of all don't speak English. I think a good few of them don't speak English, and then you're bringing in a board apart from Mushtaq, who is heavily English speaking. They can't speak Urdu. Just before a World Cup, major ICC event, first event in some time, because the previous years was cancelled because of COVID. So at that point, it's like, to the world of cricket, Pakistan have no hope in this World Cup. That's why everyone's looking at that. That you've got your coaches have stepped down, you've got new coaches in just weeks before the World Cup, you've got a complete dismantled side, you brought new players in, you've took players out, your old guys are back, Shoaib's back, Hafiz is back. There's a lot of questions about your lower middle order with Asif Ali and stuff, Imad Wasim. So with that, the success that you guys had, at this point we were rudely interrupted, but the conversation continues, so keep watching. Okay, so like we were talking about, just before the World Cup, two of the biggest personalities in Pakistan cricket who were coaching Pakistan stepped down. You have players coming in, players going out. You have some old guys coming back into the team. Hafiz, he released a press conference towards Ramiz Raja, I think. There was some unsettlement there. Shoaib Malik comes back, and there's a whole debate there ki what is happening. So to the world of cricket, to me personally, to people I interact with, and across social media, I'm sure all of you guys watching will agree, Pakistan didn't have a shot at the World Cup at all. Like when we saw that Pakistan was our first fixture, India was like free 3 points. Genuinely. We were like easy 3 points, and we have Namibia, we have Scotland, and literally as a fan we were looking at to our like naive behavior, we were looking at semi-finals, that who could we play? Because Pakistan weren't qualifying at all. And given their recent form as well, that was evident because they weren't winning matches. What happened then?
You have to look at something that has changed in Pakistan cricket in a very short time. When Babar came in, he took control immediately, and he took control of all formats, not just one. And Rizwan scoring 1,000 runs in T20 in a year, I mean, that's just unbelievable.
Heavy runs, yeah.
Unbelievable. So you can't ignore those two whatsoever.
No, yeah, definitely.
And the only problem we had at that time was our middle order. Yeah. Because our bowling was always covered. Pakistan's bowling is always covered.
Shaheen, Shadab, they're covered, yeah.
Even if you go to the streets of Pakistan and put anyone there, they will have pace. Yeah. If you select someone that is playing cricket in Pakistan, club cricket in Pakistan, they will perform, because it is unbelievable the talent we have, and I'm saying it again and again, it is unbelievable the talent we have in club cricket over there. So our bowling was never a problem.
Yeah.
It was never a problem. Our middle order was a problem. So if you go into the middle order, you see Fakhr, that is a great T20 batsman, and he was dropped. He was
much
also
to
dropped.
Everyone's amusement.
And I was surprised.
Yeah.
Before what reasoning they had.
Bizarre.
And so what we thought back in Pakistan, this was your view about the things that happened. What we thought in Pakistan was that everything was falling into place,
Okay.
and it was a complete wipeout of the bad coaches that didn't provide any success at that time. It doesn't matter that how good they were doing, what they were producing, what players they wanted. They, in the end, it's where your team stands, what you're doing with the team, and they weren't producing those results. If Ravi Shastri in Indian cricket wasn't producing those results,
yeah.
he would have
He'd be
been
out.
he'd be out.
It'd be out, yeah.
He was there because he was producing those results, and he didn't produce those results in ICC tournaments, but he was. You can't neglect the fact that he was beating Australia in Australia. He
India
was,
getting into semi-finals as well. Consistently, India were getting into finals and semi-finals.
Yeah.
We weren't winning,
Yeah.
but there was a lot of consistency, more so than any other cricket team in the
Yeah,
world.
absolutely. Winning series is more important than anything.
Yeah.
And it's not just about one tournament. Anyone can have a bad tournament.
Back-to-back wins in Australia.
Yeah.
That too, the last time with the team that we had, is incredible.
Mm.
And currently with England as well, we're leading in the series. There's one more test match to be played. But it's evident that had that test match been played back in September, India would have won that
Yep.
as well. Like the way the momentum of the series was going.
Yeah.
So winning in Australia, winning in England is crazy. And even in South Africa, yes, we just lost. But I think right now Indian cricket is, for me, in a place
Reforming, yeah.
of reform and restructure.
Yeah.
People are stepping down, people are stepping up. KL Rahul, first series as captain. But yeah, we won't get into that. That's for another episode.
Yeah, I'll just continue
But,
on
yeah.
Pakistan cricket right
Yeah.
now. And so we had a complete wipeout. After that, we had the proper team that was supposed to play back. Hafiz was in,
Yeah.
Malik was in. I know the stats weren't good, but you have to have experience in the team.
Definitely.
If you
And
don't
they
have,
came good. Hafiz
yeah,
played very
absolutely.
well, yeah.
Malik also.
Malik, yeah.
And Asif Ali was a big surprise to me.
Against New
personally.
Zealand, that performance
Yeah,
was insane.
But when he got selected, it was a big surprise to me as well as everyone back home, because he wasn't in the T20 side for a good year.
Okay.
And even though he had the ability to hit boundaries like no one else, he wasn't in the side. He wasn't playing international cricket. That was partly because in the 2019 World Cup, he dropped 2 catches against Australia, and that cost
But he had personal problems going on at that time as well. Huge
yes.
personal problems.
Yep.
I think he lost his daughter during
Yeah.
that World Cup. Yeah.
And we can't blame him for that, obviously.
No.
But he wasn't performing in domestic cricket as well.
No.
He wasn't performing. He wasn't playing in international cricket.
Yeah.
And it was a big surprise to me. But he proved himself, and he made performances that blew everyone's mind. The 4 sixes against Afghanistan saved the match in a very crucial time.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so our team was unchanged in all matches. That means that they wanted that team. Yeah.
There's a core battery happening
Yeah.
at that point. Yeah.
They wanted that team. Babar wanted that team. So I'll come to this point. That is the main point we succeeded in this tournament. For the first time, I think since I've been born, a captain has got authority in Pakistan. It has never happened before.
But that's also because Babar's a personality.
He's not.
He's not.
He's not.
He comes across to the rest of the world as a strong personality.
He's not. I have played with him since I think 2012. I've watched him from a distance playing, and I've been in my club, and I've done.
You have Babar's bat, right?
Yeah. And I've played with his brother as well, which is also an amazing cricketer. I think if he worked as hard as Babar. So this is another debate, that the talent and the working hard is 2 different things.
100%.
People have talent more
And they
than
waste
Babar,
it, and they waste it, yeah.
but they can't work as hard as him. Yeah, and they waste it. Like Umar Akmal. What a talented
Vinod
cricketer.
Kambli is an example of that. Do you know Vinod Kambli?
Yeah, I know.
He was tipped to become a better cricketer than Sachin.
Yeah.
There was no comparison between Vinod Kambli and Tendulkar in domestic cricket whatsoever. And Sachin has mentioned that in his book, A Billion Dreams. I think I know that was a movie, but he
The
wrote
guy
a
with
book as
the
well. Yeah, like the kinship guy.
yeah,
He was a mind-blowing cricketer, and again, I think some lack of motivation. Whatever. We won't get into like personal life,
Yeah.
but we now know where Vinod Kambli is, and we know where Tendulkar is. And God of cricket is referred to us.
So I'll get back to Babar.
Mm.
He isn't the personality that you think he is.
Mm.
He's learning.
Yeah.
He is learning, and
Then how
what
does he
we-
have authority then?
I'll tell you. What we all know, he's a good learner,
Mm.
and he, from the get go, I knew that he wasn't a leader. He wasn't a leader, and to transform himself in such a short time before the World Cup is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, he had, if you remember the series against England that we played here, I think England required 12 of 2 balls,
Yeah.
and Tom Curran had a 6 of RSO over the extra cover.
Yeah.
And after that, he got mad and he started speaking to Harrisov, and they had an argument. And after that, they
And England had like a C team out, not even a B team.
yeah.
It's like struggling with
So
COVID.
he wasn't a born leader like Imran Khan,
Yeah.
I suppose,
Yeah.
and he wasn't something like that.
Hmm.
He knew what he had to do, and there was no option of backing out, because Babar is a brand in Pakistan right now,
Yeah.
and if
Much like Kohli.
if God forbid he got removed from the captaincy, that would make a very bad image, and so stepping down or getting removed was not an option.
Yeah.
So he had to step up, and he did that. He got the leadership skills he needed, and he stood up for the team. He stood up for what team he wanted before the World Cup, and that is why Babar, Misbah, and Waqar also broke out
Yeah.
before the World Cup, and that is why Ramiz and Babar also had an argument before the World Cup as
Okay.
well, and he demanded
Certain players.
certain players,
Yeah.
and Ramiz told him to keep quiet and focus on his captaincy and his cricket, and leave the selection up to him. And after that, Ramiz Raja did what was required, because he as a man is truthful to himself, and that guy is, I think, he doesn't have the cricketing skill, but he has a cricketing mind. He has one of the greatest cricketing minds I've seen in Pakistan.
Ramiz Raja.
Ramiz Raja. And I am also a very good friend of his son as well,
Okay.
playing in Lahore Gymkhana, and they are both
Good
amazing
human beings.
amazing people.
Right.
Amazing people.
Right.
And down to earth, and they talk everything through, and they also are from Itchen back
Okay,
in Pakistan.
same school.
Imran Khan also
Yeah,
is from
yeah,
Itchen
yeah.
back in Pakistan, and it's just good to see such a person at the chairman of Pakistan cricketing board at the moment. And when he came in, we had hope from him. We had hope from Babar leading the team, and
And they're delivering.
yeah,
So far, they're delivering.
yep,
Interesting.
yes,
So then you mentioned Imran Khan. Abhi.
yeah.
What's the role of Imran Khan here? Like, yes, he's your prime minister now, from a cricketing background. Led the Pakistan team, won your very first ever World Cup, and now he's leading the country. Does that have any effects on the cricket in Pakistan, or have you managed to keep PCB and Imran Khan's running of the country two separate entities?
No, absolutely, it has a major effect, because having a World Cup winner as a prime minister, a captain World Cup winner as a prime minister, is a huge impact.
Yeah.
And I think he has a major role as well and he does influence the
In
people.
decision making?
Yeah, absolutely. And he brought in Ramiz.
Hmm.
It was his decision, because he was his teammate in the World Cup winning team as well. Yeah, and I think it has a major impact on cricket in our country. He banned the domestic structure that was before, and that was that every company could list their first class team, and so people were working in those companies and playing first class for them and directly, and so he finished that, he voiced that, he created teams for every province, and he told everyone to focus on that cricket. Everyone in
Is that
Pakistan, everyone in Pakistan thinks it's not better because
Okay.
everyone relies on cricket for their income over there. So people who got those jobs in companies
Based on their cricket. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
They lost their money.
Very
they
similar
lost,
to MS Dhoni when
Yeah.
he got his job in the railway section.
Yeah.
As a
Absolutely.
ticket collector, based on just his cricketing abilities.
Yeah.
I'm sure many of you would have seen the movie. But yes,
I think that system in India has also been abolished. Railways and
I think people still hold jobs.
Yeah?
In railways have a team.
Okay.
Yeah, there are still teams like
But
that.
it's not a domestic
But
team, right?
It is a domestic team.
Okay.
But there's no cricket. There's no companies. Like you won't see a Tata cricket team, or you won't see a Reliance cricket team. That
Okay.
kind of stuff, which I'm guessing is what Pakistan
Yep.
abolished.
Yeah. Yeah, and what that produced was that every cricketer in Pakistan started focusing on the cricket that was being provided by the PCB, not by a self
External body.
Yeah. A structure that was not made by those companies on their own, and it was made by the Pakistan Cricket Board, and it was funded by the Pakistan Cricket Board.
Okay.
So Pakistan Cricket Board could keep an eye on it and produce players from it. But the same thing was being criticized, that people lost their jobs, people lost their income, and that really made people criticize Imran Khan for his logic behind
Which,
it.
look, I think, everything there's a balance to everything.
Yeah.
With here, I think from what you're telling me, what I'm personally gathering is, like in India in IPL, our most expensive player is KL Rahul this year, 17 crores. And from what I read, you correct me if I'm wrong, Babar is the most expensive player in PSL with 3.25 crores.
Yeah.
So the huge discrepancy in pay, obviously, Pakistan is, as a board, not as rich as BCCI.
Obviously.
So when at that point these players are anyways not getting paid as much, as domestic players that is, the huge source of income for them is through these companies.
Absolutely.
Because you can have, like we were talking about earlier, great cricketers, great talent in domestic circuit who never actually play international cricket. For them, these companies are everything. These jobs are everything. That's
Absolutely.
their bread. That's their daily income. So you take
Yeah.
that away, and then they're playing matches in Pakistan for a few thousands, tens of thousands, 20 of thousands, which before was lakhs when they were working for companies. Takes a huge hit. And I'm pretty sure that's deterring a lot of cricketers from wanting to become cricketers.
Yeah.
Because you're looking like, if we don't represent our country, if you don't play in the PSL, playing domestic level cricket, there's no money.
Absolutely.
Very similar in the UK as well. If you play domestic cricket and you play for county, you don't get paid nearly as much as if you play in the 100 or for the country.
Absolutely. And I'll just shine some light on the fact that our players don't get paid as much as in Indian cricket, and I'll give you the reason for that. Indian cricket is good at one thing, and they are really good at it. They commercialize their players. They
brands. All our players are brands. Yeah.
They put a value on every single cricket player.
Yeah.
Even if they are not in the international side.
Yeah.
And that allows them to grow more. Because you have to have, it's not about money. You have to have that respect.
Yeah.
If you have that level of respect within the circuit, you gain that confidence to do more. You want to do more.
Yeah.
If you are not getting that respect, then you don't, it's as simple as anything. You don't get that respect, you don't want to play. You get that respect, you want to play more.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing in Pakistan is that we don't get that commercial status for every player. And
you have to be top 4, top 5,
Yeah.
Babar, Rizwan, Shaheen.
But now that is starting.
It's
I
changing?
have seen it with my own eyes back in Pakistan that cricket is completely changing.
For the better.
For the better, absolutely. Players are
But
getting
for the better, the international level, or as a whole?
as a whole.
But then you said earlier that this the removal of companies wasn't good.
I think it's the best rule that has been made.
Okay.
But
In general, people don't.
yeah, because if you kick someone's earning opportunity away, then
Nobody's gonna like that, yeah.
obviously
Correct, correct.
they're not gonna like it.
But in terms of Pakistan finding players and growing as a cricketing nation, then this is the best thing.
This is the best decision.
Right. Okay.
He-
Interesting.
Even in his politics, he makes cruel decisions but
Yeah.
right decisions.
Okay.
And that is why in Pakistan he's being criticized as a prime minister as well, and as a cricketing
And
mind
as
as
an
well.
influence
Yeah.
into Pakistan cricket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. That was very interesting.
Yeah.
I got to learn a lot about Pakistan cricket, which I frankly genuinely didn't know. It's very interesting when you have someone here with me like I have who's interacted with these personalities that we see on the TV and stuff on such a personal level. Like he said, he's friends with Misbah's son, he's friends with Ramiz Raja's son, he's played with Babar. So when you're involved in such an intimate capacity, you come across things that from the outside you just wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Now let's move away from that slightly and talk about the current state of Indian cricket, where I hope I can speak a little bit.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Indian cricket Test team ranked number 3rd, ODI ranked number 4th, and T20 ranked number 2nd. Any ICC event apart from the last one, any bilateral series, any event India goes into, they're always marked as one of the favorites.
Absolutely.
And they have done since the past decade or so. And which is great. Like as an Indian fan, you always have a lot of hope, a lot of it's always a case of we surprise ourselves when we play poorly, as opposed to we surprise ourselves when we play well. So it's always great. In your opinion, obviously I have mine and I'll share that.
Yeah.
Where do you think Indian cricket is heading at the current moment in time?
To be honest, right now it's in shambles. Right now, Indian cricket is nothing like it was back 3 months, 4 months, I think. It has completely fallen apart because Shastri left,
Yeah.
Kohli left,
Yeah.
the captaincy. And
We'll get to that. Did Kohli leave?
Yeah.
Or what happened? We'll address that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the thing is that right now the first thing you have to do is reform, and that is what is going on in the Indian cricket team and Indian cricket board right now. And I think the board changed as well a couple months back, right?
Board didn't change. We had Rahul Dravid come in as our coach.
Yeah, but Ganguly.
Ganguly took over some time back. Maybe
Yeah.
it's been over a year. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's behind all this as well.
There's a lot of BJP influence, our ruling party. So the current Honorable Secretary
Did
of
not know
BCCI
that.
is this guy called Jay Shah. Jay Shah is the son of the Home Minister of India. So his son is actually the Secretary of BCCI. This guy has no cricketing background. He has no understanding of cricket. He has no knowledge about cricket. And I'm sure I'm triggering a lot of people right now, a lot of BJP supporters. This conversation, this debate isn't about BJP. I'm not going to get into that. But I think everyone can understand it'll be very wrong to say that Indian cricket currently isn't influenced by the ruling party, which it 100% is.
We had the same problem, and we are not talking about political parties or anything like that. We're talking about cricket. So it's a simple decision. A person that has a cricketing mind should be
Leading the board,
influencing the cricketing board over there.
which isn't the case at all right now.
Yeah, in Pakistan it was the same. There were people like Ijaz something before that took over the board, and I looked at him and I laughed. I literally laughed. He came to my school 3 times, and I was surprised at
But how can somebody so underqualified be leading?
absolutely. Shoaib Akhtar has talked about this a lot of times, that people have cricketing bodies that have people that who have played cricket, and we have a chairman that doesn't work one leg,
Yeah.
that can't hear, that can't speak properly. So what are we supposed to do? Ihsan Mani was the PCB chairman before Ramiz Raja,
Yeah.
and he had no cricketing background as well.
Mm.
So it has been like this for so long, and
We're going to it right now.
Yeah.
So how can someone lead a board? How can someone influence a board when they don't have the knowledge of how the sport works in the first
Absolutely.
place. When Ganguly was appointed, I think he was the president of BCCI or the head of BCCI, the nation was happy. As a cricketing personality myself, I was personally happy because Ganguly, in my opinion, after Dhoni, is the best captain India's ever produced. I think the team Dhoni had when he won the World Cup, I think the team Dhoni had when he won the 2007 World Cup as well, a lot of that was due to Ganguly. And I think India in the late 90s, early 2000s, as a cricketing country, was shambles. We weren't winning matches. We were struggling with an incredible team. We just weren't putting out the results we should have been. We had no fast bowlers. We had Javagal Shanath, and that's pretty much it. And then if you remember that series when people like Balaji came in, Fan Pathan came in, and they took a hat trick against Pakistan, that was a change of Indian cricket, and Ganguly is massively, massively credited to do that. So now when he moved into the board in a power of like a role of power, there was a lot of celebration behind that. But seeing what's happened over the last year, you talked about reform. India is going through reform, but my question is, was that reform needed? When Indian cricket was doing so well, why change something that's doing well? You've just won twice in Australia. You're about to beat England in England. IPL anyways is going right. We win pretty much everywhere we play. Did we need that reform? Did we need Virat to step down? Did we need Rohit to come in?
I just wanted to ask one question because I'm not clear about this thing.
Hmm.
I know personally that Virat left the ODI captaincy and the Test captaincy because he was forced to do so. But what I'm not clear about is why did he leave the T20 captaincy?
Okay, so this I can't answer. Basically, there's a lot of views going on about this. So there was a huge debate between Ganguly and Virat. They both had press conferences. They both said completely conflicting things. Ganguly said that Virat had come to him and offered to step down as T20 captain, and that the Indian Cricket Board had strongly suggested to Virat to keep the captaincy from with T20 as well and not step down. Virat released a statement, released a press conference where he said, yes, I went to them and I said that I'd like to step down, workload management, but at no point did BCCI convey the message to him that we would want you to remain as captain. At no point did they say that. And Ganguly is saying that there was strong influence, strong pressure towards Virat to continue being a captain in all three formats. So then when he stepped down, that was that. And
so, just to be clear, he stepped down.
Yes, he stepped down from T20 captaincy.
Yeah.
He wanted to step down from T20 captaincy because of workload management. Same reason he stepped down from IPL captaincy as well. He's no longer Bangalore's captain. Same reason. He wants to focus more of his attention towards the two longer formats and win the 2023 World Cup. That was his aim. So then when BCCI approached him, they said something like, listen, we'd want a red ball captain and a white ball captain, which a lot of the countries have at the moment. England has that. They have Morgan in white ball, Root in red ball. West Indies have that. They have Pollard in red ball and Pollard in white ball, Holder in red ball. So at this point now, there was a venue change. It really did seem like luck was against us, but as per usual, the conversation continues. So keep listening, keep watching. Change the venue. Just got involved in an altercation, but we move past that. Right. Wait. Reform. I asked you a question. You said India was going through a phase of reform. Was that reform needed?
Obviously the reform was not needed, but what I think is that Kohli brought this reform on the Indian cricket team. That is my opinion, obviously. And why I think that is because we just talked about it, and he stepped down from T20 captaincy.
Yeah.
So I can see where Ganguly what his thought process was, and I can see what he was looking to do. He didn't want the team to reform again and again because
go through 3 periods of change.
Yes, absolutely. Because he knew that he has gone from T20, and in the near future he was going to go from ODI and Test as well. Because if he is having problems at the age of 32 with the workload, so if he's 34 or 35, he's going to have problems with workload again.
Yeah.
Because it's just going to...
As you grow older,
Yeah,
it becomes more and more difficult.
Yeah. So he wanted the new generation to take over.
But is it the new generation?
Yeah, Rohit Sharma.
Rohit being
But
as old as Virat.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is that he brought himself into that position because he said he has workload problems. I know that no one else is the captain of Indian cricket team, and Rohit can't say he has workload problems because he's not the captain. And I mean, if Rohit is the captain now, and you're saying that he could have workload problems as well in the future, but the thing is that if Kohli would have handled the situation a bit better, it was not right to announce just before a World Cup that I'm gonna leave the captaincy. That's not right to do.
I fully agree with that. I feel as though if you're stepping down, you're well within your rights to do that.
Yeah.
Wait till the end of a major tournament.
Yes.
Because already you're going into a tournament with the image that this is your last World Cup, or your last T20 World Cup. Kohli has to win, this, that, and the other. That's added pressure on your shoulders for no reason.
Absolutely.
Which I think somewhat also contributed towards a huge failure, I'm going to say failure, that India had in this World Cup.
Can you move on to that?
Let's move on to that. India-Pakistan.
Yeah.
We were talking about this before. Huge hype within the club as well, KCLCC. A lot of our members are from India, a lot of our members are from Pakistan as well. All beautifully play together, no hate, no
Absolutely.
which is great to see. Why did India lose? A, against Pakistan, and B, why did they perform so poorly in the World Cup?
So we were talking before the match, and obviously India were clear favourites, and I was also saying that India are clear favourites, and we were thinking that if Pakistan wins, it's gonna be a thriller, and it's gonna be on the edge of the knife, and
which it wasn't.
Absolutely, I'm just coming to that, and we thought that if we'd win, we'd get lucky somehow.
Yeah.
And it would be a miracle from God, and we'd win miraculously or something like that.
Yeah.
But on that day, India got completely bamboozled, and it was shocking for even the Pakistan supporters. And I think there was joy on every street in Pakistan, and obviously that is the case in India as well when you beat us every time.
Yeah.
So what we were expecting.
We beat you so often we don't care this time.
But this was a very convincing victory, and I mean, whenever we win convincingly, as you remember in the Champions Trophy as well.
Yeah.
And this one was the one we will treasure, because the thing is that if it syncs with where we're going, that is perfect, because
it's almost a start of a journey.
An era, a new era in Pakistan cricket.
Yeah.
And a new team that has been reformed. Every one of them now, which is young. Hafiz has retired now, and there are people to take a spot. Haider Ali is willing to take a spot, and there are backups for everyone. Not that we need them, because we have a fairly young age team, and this is definitely a new era in Pakistan.
That's fine,
Yeah.
but my question is, why did you lose?
Yeah. I'll come to that now. You guys were playing IPL for, I think, 3 months in Dubai.
Just before the World Cup.
Yeah, just before the World Cup. And that is why India were favourites to win. Obviously, that is why.
Everyone was with T20 practice.
First of all, I thought you guys got complacent a little bit.
Okay.
And I mean, if you think that, it is not possible that the members of the team don't think that. Because if Pakistan cricket team is looking to play against Oman or Scotland or Namibia in the next 3 matches, they would prepare accordingly. And it's fair to say that we talked about it, that Pakistan cricket wasn't at a good stage. Our coaches got removed, our board got changed, our players got changed. And at that moment, we got taken lightly. And that thing changed our weakness into our strength. And I think one thing that lacks in India is space. I think I've not seen the 2 balls that were bowled to Rohit and KL in the entire IPL. Harbhajan has said that on TV as well.
think especially the KL ball was incredible.
Yeah.
I think Rohit just fell over, his head fell over quite a bit.
Yeah, and he has that problem.
And he has that problem against left armers anyways.
Yeah, I've seen that with Amir
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah, and so first of all, it was those 2 wickets that went, and Surya Kumar Yadav with no experience at all. He was looking good. He was looking like he'd take the game on, but again, no experience, so he fell down. And
Virat.
I'm coming to that. I didn't want to come to that because we argue a lot about this, and I have an opinion about this as well. I personally think that wasn't a good innings. That was a mediocre innings from what I expected from Virat. Because
that's where I disagree. I think that was a mind-blowing innings.
absolutely. You have your own opinion, but what I think, what my opinion is, and what my mindset is that we were waiting as a Pakistani supporter. We were waiting that Virat is still there. He's gonna do something, and we were just trying to contain him, and we were trying that he couldn't do anything, that he couldn't, blast through the last 4 or 5 overs, and we were waiting for an explosion. That didn't happen, and
not every time you score runs you convert, right?
but the thing is that how easily we chased those runs. If we all saw that if a batter gets stuck in on that pitch,
then it's easy to bat on.
Then it's easy to
It's
bat.
tough to set in.
Yeah.
Even with you guys, it took you a few overs to get in.
Yeah, absolutely.
But once you get in, then it's.
So we had that explosion in the end.
Yeah.
And we were waiting for it.
You also came in, I think the wicket did flatten out.
Absolutely,
100%,
absolutely. The toss was a good
toss to win. I think the World Cup was a toss World Cup.
Yeah,
Whoever won the toss won the World Cup.
Absolutely. But I feel that even if we batted first, we would have won. Because it was not a tight win. We have to remember it was not a tight win.
I agree with you. When it comes to whether India would have won had they chased, you don't know that. So I'm not going to comment on that.
Yeah.
Pakistan may well have won.
Yeah.
India might have won. You don't know that.
Yeah.
I think why India lost the game is two facets. I think first, there are three big people. They all performed. Shaheen, Babar, and Rizwan. When you walk into any T20 match, their ownership is on them. The focus of the country is on these three guys.
Absolutely.
And Shaheen stood up with the ball at the start. Them 2 wickets shook India. Like we were watching it, a huge community of us were watching it together. Silence. But then this is where I disagree with you about the Kohli innings. Rohit gone, Rahul gone within maybe 15 runs or something. You lose Kohli as well. Trying to play a accelerated innings, that's 15-20 for 3. Then we have Pant, very little experience, plus he's a loose cannon. You can't bank yourself that Pant will get you runs. Pant can win you a match that you've lost, but you can't Pant will score runs every time. Okay. So my second thing, Surya Kumar Yadav, yes, lack of experience. And then you get into Pandya, who's been woefully out of form for the last maybe 2 years or something.
Absolutely.
And for me, my only hope in that game was Jadeja with the bat. I think Jadeja is the best cricketer India have at the moment in time. Best cricketer. I think he's probably one of the best cricketers in the world right now. Be it bat, ball and fielding. He has an average of 50 plus across every format in the last 3 years.
I can debate that, but yeah, go on.
But I think he's insane. Even in England, he batted exceptionally well. I think had he been there in South Africa right now, we'd have won the series as well. He had stability. But like I said, had you got Kohli out early, 15 for 3, game is over. You're getting Pandya to come in within the first 7-8 overs. So Kohli had to play that sort of innings. He's the only reason we got to 150 in my opinion, whatever. Otherwise, that was a 120, game over.
See, my argument there is that he got stuck in. He got that stability when Pant and him were batting. Pant took the charge.
Yeah.
And after that, he got out.
Yeah.
So we've always seen this in any test, any cricket whatsoever, that one person plays stable and the other person goes on and hits out.
And then when that person gets out, the other person takes responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I get that, yeah.
And Kohli didn't do that because there was a new batsman at the other end, and he should have taken charge because he was in there for so long before him. How did Pant do it? I mean,
Different roles, different ability.
absolutely, ability different. Absolutely, I agree. But the thing is that Virat Kohli didn't play the Virat Kohli innings he was supposed to. I mean, that guy, if he takes the game to the end, it's over. And
That's a difference of 20 runs there.
yeah, absolutely. And if he got those 20 runs, it would have been a little different.
I think it would have been very different. I'm not saying India would have won. I'm saying Pakistan approached the chase very differently. Because when you're chasing 150, you have that time. You have that 5-6 overs that we can see what's happening. Every new baller that comes on, you can
But
see.
the
what
thing
is
is, then again, the thing is that how Rizwan took on Bhuvaneshwar in the first over.
mind blowing.
Yeah, and he was playing like that.
Yeah.
So it shows that even if the target was 200 or 200 above,
Intent was there.
he could play like that. He
Intent
could
was
get 10 in an over because he did get 11, 12 in the first over.
Yeah.
And he did show that. And they were batting according. We never know what was going to happen if the target was bigger because they were playing according to the target. That's what all cricketers do.
Yeah.
And we never know that what would have happened if the target was bigger. But shocking, absolutely shocking performance from India. And it's the same from Pakistan in complete two opposite ways. I'm saying that. And throughout the tournament, I'm just gonna take 2 minutes to reflect on the tournament we had.
Reflect for India, talk about India, because we know Pakistan had a great tournament. We spoke about that. Why did India not have a good tournament?
I think that
Because I find Pakistan, we might
there
have
was-
got complacent. Fine, your three guys stood up massively.
yeah. Let's move on to
New Zealand. Why did
Nah,
you
yeah.
against New Zealand?
Let's move on to the other game. In that match, I think there was a rift between Kohli and Kohli and Rohit because Rohit didn't open, and before that match, I think a
I don't
press.
think there was a rift. I think I'll tell you what happened. It was because Shaheen got Rohit out.
Yeah.
The issue was Bolt might do the same. The left arm bowler swinging it back in. The idea was that Rohit is struggling with that.
But you can't do
Yes.
that.
You can't do that. That's why we lost the match.
Yeah,
Yeah, the thinking was that the Rohit batted at 4 in that game, which made no sense to anybody. But the tactical reasoning wasn't a rift or anything, it was just left arm pace.
But you
Rohit
can't
might
do
be-
that. You
do
can't put one of the best batsmen in the world out of his position
Yeah,
where he doesn't play well.
100%.
And if one match made you do that, then that means that you don't have the confidence going into the tournament.
I completely agree
Yeah.
with that. Yeah. And then you're getting an inexperienced lad like Ishan Kishan to come open the batting
Absolutely.
in a must win match.
Yeah.
Because you've lost the first match, you lose this match, and then you're relying on other teams
Yeah.
to qualify. And then this guy didn't even play the first match.
Absolutely. And I don't think it's Ishan Kishan's fault.
It's not, no.
Absolutely
You
not.
can't expect anything from him.
Yeah.
If he scored a great innings, good for him. But he didn't. It's not his fault.
It's not.
It's management fault. It's a tactical
Error, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So this is why we think India lost.
And the rest of the games obviously didn't matter because
Yeah.
everyone was looking at those two fixtures. New Zealand, India, and Pakistan were looking at those two
These are
fixtures.
the three teams. It was
Yeah.
always going to be two of these to qualify.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so that's the World Cup
Yeah.
talked about. That's why India fared so poorly.
And
But-
this team that we've got in Pakistan receives so much love.
Hmm.
When they lost, I've seen that for the first time in Pakistan, we always criticize our team when they lose. Even in the semi-final against India in 2011, we lost by not
Not a huge margin. Not a huge margin.
but they said
That
that
performance was poor. That's the issue.
Yeah.
You dropped catches and everything was poor. Here you played really well.
absolutely. But the thing is, we've never got this support,
Hmm.
and that means that we are attracting our people
That's what you
with the
said
brand
earlier.
of cricket we're playing. Yeah,
There's a transition of cricket in Pakistan.
absolutely,
Which is,
absolutely,
for me as well, great to see. And
absolutely.
like I hope it brings bilateral series towards India as well.
I hope.
Okay, back to Virat.
Yeah.
In this World Cup, you said captaincy errors, whatever. And me and you speak in length about this. You keep on saying this one line to me, which is Virat is past his peak. Virat will never be what he used to be.
Absolutely, I say that.
Elaborate.
Why I say that is because I strongly believe, that is my opinion, that Virat Kohli will never be the Virat Kohli he is. And that
Used
is,
to be, yeah.
yeah, and used to be, sorry. And you said that the T20 World Cup innings was a mind-blowing innings from
I
Virat.
thought it was phenomenal innings,
Yeah.
personally, yeah.
So somehow those expectations have gone down from Virat. If you're thinking that I was in exceptional innings, the innings he played against Australia,
Australia, yeah.
that was exception. That was
Probably one
Virat.
of the best innings
Yeah.
of T20.
So
Yeah.
I don't want to go personal. You can cut this out if I go personal. But I want to say this, and I've wanted to say this. I've seen videos of him where his father died before a match in the Ranji Trophy, and the next day he went and played that match and
Got 90 something.
got 90 something and won the match for his team. I'm sorry to say, but he's not the same person, because I can't say that, but if he leaves a tour because of personal problems, he did that once. Am I not right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If he leaves the tour because of personal problems, is he not the same Virat that played a match after his father died?
But Rafay, priorities change as you grow older, right? At that point, now he has a family. Now
Absolutely.
he himself is a father figure.
Absolutely.
He has people to look after himself, priorities change. Cricket is not his number one sole priority right now, as it shouldn't be.
Absolutely, absolutely.
When you have a
I
kid,
get
when you
that.
have a wife, your family is utmost important.
I get that.
And when you're carrying the burden of the nation for so long,
Yeah.
and I think when you're talking about standards, it's Virat who set them for himself anyways. They're getting 300s in a series in South Africa in a 5-match series. The 500 runs he scored against England, the 500 plus runs he scored in Australia. All these standards have been set by him.
By him, yeah.
Right? So when
So
comparing
my only argument is that we can't compare him to himself anymore, because he set those standards.
Yeah.
He himself set those standards,
But that
and that
doesn't-
is why people are expecting so much from him.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I am just saying, my opinion is just this. It's as simple as this: that he can't be what he was.
But that doesn't mean he's finished.
I've never said he's finished. I've said that he can't be what he was. My saying that he's finished means that he cannot be what he was before.
He can't emulate what he used to.
Yeah, absolutely. And
But 650s in the last 9 innings in 1 days. Yes, he's not
I
converting.
saw those innings. I personally saw those innings.
He's not converting, but
Yeah.
should he convert? Which we all know he can. Matter of time.
I mean,
That becomes 600s in 9 innings.
I'll give you an example. Babar, in the start of his career, got criticized on every point. That this kid shouldn't be in the team. This kid shouldn't be in the team. He's not aggressive. He lacks motivation. He lacks attacking skill. He lacks the urge to convert. And he got a 50 in, I think, every match, but people didn't notice him. So if Virat stops doing what he did, people will stop noticing him. And that will be the downfall of him. Because two things happen. If you're in the start of your career, you can't convert. If you're in the end of your career, you can't convert. I've seen this. We've all seen this with great players. If you're in the start of the career, you lack confidence to convert your innings into a big score and win the match for your team.
Yeah.
And if you're in the end of your innings, end of your career, you don't have the capacity, let's suppose, and you have the skill, but you don't have the execution to do it. Because of your age and because everything that has changed.
Everything,
That has changed over time. And this has a great mental impact, what is happening right now as well. He's gone from T20 captaincy. He's been kicked out from ODI and Test cricket. And this has a huge mental impact. And I'm not saying he will never recover from this mental impact, because we've seen him do it over and over again.
That England series in, when was it, 2011 or something, he scored no runs whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, and then we saw the next goal.
Absolutely,
turned
we
him
know
on.
he's a fighter, and we know he's a warrior, and we know what kind of a person he is, and I genuinely love him. I I want, with my whole heart, I want him to do well. I want him to be the old Virat Kohli, but I believe he will not be. That are two different things. That I want and what I believe.
I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to
Yeah.
wait and see if he can. Personally, I believe that it's just a matter of time. He hasn't scored 100 in 2 years. I feel as though once that 100 comes, he'll start churning them out again. Because it's not like he's not scoring runs. He's still scoring runs at a more consistent rate than any other cricketer in India. And probably most, say for maybe Babar and Root, every other cricketer in the world as well.
Yeah.
He's scoring runs at a more consistent rate than these guys as well. So once that mental blockade eases, once he gets that 3-figure mark, I think it's a matter of time. Yes, maybe he won't be the 2014 Virat, but that was just stupid. Like scoring that many runs in a year. That I don't think anybody will ever do that, and that's crazy. 300 in an IPL season, or was it 3? I think it was 3 or something like that. Insane. But yeah, as an Indian supporter, as a Indian, I hope that we do get to see Virat in
I
that
hope
capacity.
I
I think
hope too.
for world cricket,
It's the best thing. Yeah.
he's a brand, and I think he's the reason Test cricket is as valued as it is right now.
Yeah.
He's an ambassador for Test match cricket.
Mm.
Okay, so before we move on to our final thing, which I'm guessing a lot of you who are still watching, and I'd like to thank you if you still are here for, is Babar versus Virat.
Yeah.
The much debated topic. Start us off.
First of all, when people started comparing Babar to Virat, people from India said there's no comparison, and they've always said this. And
I still say there's no comparison.
yeah, absolutely. You and people back from India, they always say that there is no comparison, and I agree with one perspective. That is that Babar has not been through enough to judge him like that.
Yeah.
And I will say one thing which is very relevant to what we discussed right now as well. That I have noticed one thing, and I have seen people say this as well. People who have knowledge about everything and who are international cricketers and legends. Babar is a very upper-handed player, and he relies on his
Top hand.
hand to score runs.
Virat is very bottom. Like myself, I'm very top-handed.
And Virat has
Very bottom-handed.
Virat has said it himself. He has this bottom-handed technique.
You're bottom-handed?
No, I'm upper-handed as
So,
well.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So this has been said throughout time that when a decline comes on a bottom-handed player, he can't get out of it as easily as a top-handed player. And this is the debate we're talking about. A top-handed player has a technique, has his base to get out of his decline.
That's fine.
He can rely on his shot making, he can rely on his technique to get through his decline. But when you're a bottom handed player, you have to take that chance. You have to take that risk. That there is an element of risk. He said himself with one interview with Nasser Hussain that he's scored majority of his runs through the leg side.
Yeah.
And to tackle his problems, he decided to work on his offside. And the Kohli cover drive we see today
Iconic. Yeah.
is through hard work, not through talent. We have to remember that, because this guy is a bottom-handed player that in the early stages of his career whipped every ball through the leg
We
side.
saw him nick off so much in England as well. Anything
Yeah.
on the 4th, 5th stump,
Yeah,
straight gone.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because that is not his natural talent. And what I've heard from not my, it's not my thought, from international cricketers is that a bottom-handed player can't get out of his decline much easily. than a top-handed.
But it's also wrong to compare a normal bottom-handed player with Virat Kohli.
Absolutely.
Because in my opinion, I've always said this, I think Virat's one of the greatest cricketers to ever play the game.
Absolutely.
So comparing him with a standard bottom-handed player who's going through decline, who might not be able to come out of it, going back to the original point you made of Virat being a fighter and a warrior that he is,
Yeah.
I think if anybody can come out of that, it's him.
Absolutely. And I want him to do that. But I'm just raising an argument which is absolutely true. That.
So how does that make Babar better than him though? That's my question to you though.
I completely agree with you on one aspect that we can't compare the two right now. But if we look at the stats right now, Babar is ahead on his route that he's taking in every format. He scored runs in more innings in every format. His average is more in any format. Currently, he's better ranked in every format. Obviously, Kohli is at his decline.
And Babar is reaching his peak.
Absolutely. But what I think, and I can raise this argument as well, if you think that he's reaching his peak or he's at his peak, some people say that he's at his peak, how can you be sure that he's not reached his peak right now?
I don't think he's reached his peak. I think he's still going to be
Absolutely. And if Virat can do that mad thing, that 2014 year, how can we be sure that Babar can't do that? Because we've seen what Rizwan has done. And I personally think that Babar will do things that are unimaginable. Because that guy has been made. He had the talent. He had everything that he needed. But in Pakistan, you have to make a player. It's as straightforward as that. No one is so talented that he straight away comes into the team.
Right.
You have to have support. You have to have back. And when someone backs you, then you start scoring in domestic and then you get selected.
Yeah.
And Babar had that talent. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen him play.
Right, another disruption. Yeah. So, your point is that what we've seen Virat do, we can't be sure that Babar won't. Right? I fully agree with that.
Because
my point is, Virat is not at the end of his career, but he's in the latter half of his career for sure. Babar's probably in the middle of his career or early first half. Middle to first half. We can sit down again maybe once Babar retires, once Virat retires, and then have the conversation. At this moment in time, until and unless we see that kind of performances from Babar, which he's doing, which is insane, but not that level that Virat has done for 6, 7, 8 years.
Absolutely, but if you see Usain Bolt, let's suppose, start a race, and he's in the lead, by quite a margin. You can predict that he's going to win the race.
Yeah.
And that is the debate I am proposing, is that I have seen the numbers, I have seen him play. I have seen the way he played in the start of his career, and I've seen him play now. And I truly believe that he will win the race. That is my belief, and I can't turn it into a surety. I can't say that he's better.
Of course not.
Yeah, absolutely, I can't say that.
But I personally believe Virat has the mental strength and capacity that Babar doesn't. I think that. And I think Virat has a better mental strength and capacity than most cricketers or athletes in the world. And for that reason, I feel as though if Babar does ever come across a decline, which is inevitable, it happens in every place, it happens in Tendulkar's as well. I'm sure it happened in Miyaz's as well. It happens in every cricketer's life. They come through a phase of decline where Virat is right now. I think Virat will 100% come out of this. I personally feel that if Babar goes through a 2-year decline like Virat has, he may well come out, but it'll be a lot more difficult for him to tackle that as opposed to Virat.
See, the argument I can raise right now is that you're saying that Virat is mentally equipped with the tools to get out of decline. I have talked about technique. I have talked about that it is difficult for a bottom-handed player to get out of decline. I will also add to that Virat is really emotional and he's really impulsive with things. I have seen
helps
that.
him, I think.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is that can be a drawback as well. And what I think is that will help Babar be one of the best cricketer or maybe the best batsman in the world is that he's really calm. He's really calm with things. He's not as evasive as Kohli. He's not as excited as Kohli. He doesn't, shout out. And I recently saw something. I think which is why I think he's losing his touch because he's doing things that he normally doesn't do. He said something on he said something on the stump mic, and I mean that isn't the Kohli we know. Absolutely, 100% agreed.
I think that is the Kohli. He's always been like that, and in the last 5-6 years during captaincy, he took that away. And now he's not captain, has not started to come back out again.
Absolutely, it will come out again, and it can come out.
Because when you're captain of the country, you carry a sense of poise. You carry a
Yeah.
better, responsibility,
Yeah.
and you are the one who faces the media. You're the one
Yeah.
who faces everything.
Yeah.
So you have to be a certain way, even if you're not that as a person.
Absolutely, but that is what will help Babar, I think. That is the strength of his argument. And that is that he is not as emotionally unstable. It is emotional instability and that helps him, that actually helps him. Because being happy to a certain extent and being
But
excited.
everyone says Virat is a different person on and off the field.
Absolutely, but we only see Virat on the field, right? And he will reflect on what he's doing on the field, right?
Yeah.
Because he's playing on the field.
But mentally, outside of the game, I've interacted with Virat several times, and I've seen him personally, intimately as well. He's a very different person.
Absolutely. But the thing is, if I get angry at you right now, I will do things that angry people do, right?
At that moment in time.
Yeah. So if he's excited about something at that time, like he screams when his team gets a wicket, he will do what excited people do.
Yeah.
And that is a drawback. And what I think will help Babar is him being calm always. You've never seen him over celebrate, right?
Yeah.
We've never seen him do things uncharacteristically. He's always calm with his batting. He never does. Yes, I saw one time when we won against India that he did with his bat this and then he screamed, and that is just joy because
that's true. You're celebrating us for your country.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I've always seen him calm and composed, which will really help him and his top-handed technique.
Okay, we'll talk about this in 5-6 years time.
Absolutely.
But to end this podcast right now, to end this little conversation, give me a name from Pakistan and from India. 2 young cricketers, not Babar, not Rizwan, not Virat, not KL, not Rohit. Who are you seeing become the next big thing in Pakistan after Babar? And who do you think will be the next big thing in India after Virat, Rohit, KL?
I just mentioned one name before. His name is Herrera. He was my captain in under-19 Central Punjab where I went for the camp, 5-6 day camp, and I played upon two-day matches over there. And I saw him bat and he was just different.
Yeah.
It was just different class.
Better than Babar?
I think he has the technique to be the next best cricketer in the world. And if all of you are watching, I suggest you watch his triple hundred in the national Qaid Azam trophy. That is our domestic tournament over there.
Watch my triple hundred as well.
And I think that he's going to be the next big thing. And also Qasim Akram, that is the Pakistan under-19 captain right now. He will also unleash his potential even further. India. I personally really like Yuzvendra Jaiswal.
Yashasvi Jaiswal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has class. I love seeing him bat. As a lefty, I I learn from him. I see his technique, how he lifts the ball, how he leaves the ball, how he drives the ball, and I try to learn from him. I obviously, as cricketers, we pick up things from every cricketer and try to imitate them and beat them. And when I see him bat, I genuinely can't move my eyes.
Not Gill.
Shubman Gill, I love him as well. But on the top of my list, it will be Jaiswal because I genuinely love him. And
he came from very humble beginnings as well.
Yeah.
He used to be a Pani Puri seller.
yeah, and the way he played in the under 19 World Cup
Being
was
17 years old.
absolutely
Yes, yeah.
sensational. Absolutely sensational.
Brilliant.
And he's so young and he has so much to learn. He's really dangerous, I must say. And this talent can be nourished into something beautiful.
Well, apart from these names, and us two obviously, we'll play the 2027 World Cup, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for watching. If you are still watching, there's another episode coming out very soon, which will discuss the IPL, where players should go in this big auction, which team needs what to stabilize their team, to create the best team they possibly can. So watch out for that space. It'll be out in the next week or so. And yeah, subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff.